You're constantly briefing your designers, but the work you get back often looks totally different from what you had in mind. If that sounds familiar, that's not a designer problem, that's a briefing problem. I've worked in design for over a decade and I run a 40-person design team at Magier. Trust me, most design frustrations come from unclear briefs, missing context and vague expectations. So in this video, I show you exactly how to brief a designer properly using the same checklist we use for hundreds of brands. And by the way, that full checklist is linked in the description below for you to download. So let's get started. First of all, start with real context. Most briefs sounds like make this slide look nice, or we need a new ad, or can you polish this? Those are not briefs, that's guesswork. Designers can't execute well if they don't understand why the design exists in the first place. So start every brief with the basics. What the project is, why it matters for the business, who the target audience is, where the creative will be used, and in what format we need to provide it. If you write 2 or 3 sentences describing the goal and the audience, your designer instantly understands the direction. This alone solves half of all design issues. Number 2, give visual direction, not adjectives. Designers can't work off make it pop, make it modern, or make it premium. Those words mean different things to different people. What actually helps are visual references. What I always do is setting up a file that includes your brand guidelines with colors, fonts, and logos, a short mood board with examples you like, so these can be from competitors or even totally different areas, and any notes about spacing, tone, or preferred layout. Finally, I give them the one key message that the design must communicate. My biggest learning here was definitely that designers think visually. When you give them visual input, you eliminate a lot of guessing and speed up the entire process because they can jump straight to execution. Number 3, you should provide final copy and not placeholders. This is probably the #1 source of frustration. Designers are not copywriters. If you give placeholder text or we'll update the copy later, you set the project up for rework. And when you change the copy after the layout is done, everything breaks. Spacing, hierarchy, alignment, and the whole flow. So always make sure to include the final approved copy as well as any other assets in an easy to grasp way. Copy first, design second. That's how you avoid endless revision loops. Number 4. Be specific with technical specs. Another reason for delays is unclear or missing specs. Designers need to know exactly what you want created. So you should include the exact dimensions, file format, and platform-specific requirements. So instead of saying we need a banner, say we need a 1080 x 1080 PNG optimized for the upload to our Webflow blog. One sentence like that saves multiple rounds of clarification. Number 5, define success so everyone knows when the design is done. If you don't define success, you never know whether the design is finished or not. That's how endless feedback cycles happen. Be specific about what you expect, things to avoid, and who gives feedback at which point. That way you will stop your projects from dragging on forever. Number 6. Let's take a look at an example. To make all of this a little bit more viable, let's take a look at one concrete example of a task that I recently briefed for one of our designers over at Magier. For this task, I needed his help to create a sales deck for Baked With. As a preparation, I did a couple of things. First of all, I provided the brand kit. Then I researched some other sales deck examples that we were doing to just get a general sense of the style. Next up, I was giving him some general briefing in text form. I was preparing the content for each slide, and I was recording a Loom video with a walkthrough of each slide and some context. This way, it was super easy for him to come up with a 95% nice first draft. The conclusion. So after I've showed you all the elements it takes for a good briefing, let's take a look at why it matters. When you brief well, everything gets faster. You will reduce revisions, you will save budget, and you avoid confusion. And your designers can finally do their best work instead of spending time guessing what you want. A bad brief wastes time, a good brief creates momentum. A great brief makes your whole marketing team look 10 times more professional. So if you want the exact design brief checklist that we use at Magier, it's linked in the description below. Download it, copy it, and use it for your everyday design task. It will completely change how you collaborate with your designers. If this video was helpful, hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Also, I'm curious, what's the biggest challenge you are facing right now when briefing your designers? See you in the next video. Bye bye.